on, you guys? Welcome back. Now, last video we had a little bit of fun. I hooked up the Phytech LS Ultimate Kit, got this thing fired up on the stand so we could check oil pressure and hear it run. Turned out pretty good. We did have a couple little issues, like I had a couple leaky fuel injectors, but I had a couple sitting on the table over here. Got those changed out and we got that thing fired up, and I have to say, it does sound pretty good. Definitely real excited. Can't wait to get that thing in that truck down there so we can start mocking up and building our turbo kit, get some boost at that thing, get it out on the street, have some fun with it. But before I can work on that, I also want to get that thing re-geared so we have something to play around with while that truck is in here. And in order to get that thing on the rack, we have got to get this thing off. So we'll be working on Frankenstein today. And just a few little things. Show you real quick. As you can see here, I got this cover off because I have got a new gear right there. Now this new front gear is a 15 tooth, and I'm going to swap it out with the factory 16. Kind of help a little bit with bottom end torque or takeoff, because this buggy is, well, it's going to be a little bit heavier than the bike that this engine came out of. And another little thing, what sits right here is actually the gear selector switch. And if you come over here on the bench, you can see that I have taken a razor blade here. I went ahead and cut out all the little silicone there to get to these exposed terminals, to desolder and resolder all the wires back on the little board in there, because all three of those wires were cut and it was not showing any gear on our dash. So I desoldered the broken wires, trimmed, soldered the wires back on the board. I have hooked it back up and function tested it. It does now work. It does show me gears. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in the back here again with just some regular old silicone from the auto parts store. We'll go ahead and get that back on that engine. I'll get power to it so I can show you guys that it actually functions on the dash. Again too, like I said, we're going to go ahead and switch out this sprocket. And another little thing here, for those of you that are new or just finding or stumbling across this video or just subscribed in the last few weeks, this here is Frankenstein. It is something that I've built just by what I've imagined. It's got a lot of miscellaneous parts on it. I've got Yamaha Banshee parts. It's got Suburban axles. These come out of a four-wheel drive Suburban with the hubs that I've just trimmed down, re-drilled and tapped for the studs to attach this wheel spacer to fit the Banshee wheels. But because we are using those axles, here's what I got. Now these axles work really good for having an independent rear suspension, but they only travel so far before they run into a bind. You can see I got the shocks off on this side, and now here's see if I can do this one-handed, see if you can catch it on camera. You can hear that. It is up against the joints, the CV joints in these axles. So if they're under any real hard load, chances are it will break these axles. So what I've done, I took a measurement from this shock bolt to this shock bolt, and it measures 22 inches center to center. Half an inch up on this arm just pulls that axle out of that bind. So I went another half inch up to measure to 21 inches to give it a half inch clearance there. And then what I've done is I went ahead and ordered a set of 19-inch straps, which is an inch shy of my 20-inch mark, or 20 and a half from where this gives me a good inch and a half of room before it goes into the bind. And the reason I ordered these at 19 inches is because they will stretch anywhere from an inch to an inch and a half. So as of right now, it sits at 20 from that bolt, from the shock bolt or the tab bolt to there. And I've just got it mounted in between where the shocks would mount. So the shock sits on the outside here and outside here. This sits in between. And I've got 2 straps per side. As you can see, I've already got this one mounted. Works out pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is come over here, mount the other tab up in this area. And it is just something I have made out of 3/16 plate using cardboard. Marked out what I wanted, drill the hole. So this will actually come up in there, and then we will attach these guys here. But before I do that, I've got a ratchet strap hooked up. Go ahead and hook this up here so I can show you guys. There we go. That is at the 21 inch, and you can see it is just out of the bind. Everything rotates easy. There's no thumping or binding on the axle. So I'm going to go ahead and get myself hooked up here, get this tab welded into place so we can get these straps hooked up and move on to my next project. All right, tab is welded into place. Got our straps just kind of hooked up here. And as you can see, our axle spins freely. It is no longer in a bind. So now that I've got that taken care of, what I'm going to do next is go ahead and I'm going to get this little 6mm Allen, get you up here. We'll get that 6mm Allen out, take that, which just holds this little tone ring. It's for that speed sensor there. And then with the nut behind that is 1.25 inches. We'll get that off, get this sprocket off. And then I'll go ahead and we'll get the chain cut, get that attached. That way I kind of see what kind of slack it has and try to figure out some kind of tensioner from there. Once we got that installed, I'm going to move up to the front. We'll go ahead and install this. This little battery box I built out of scrap angle iron I had laying around. And that's going to go up front here. We'll get the battery installed and start making some cables. Get it ran back here. That way we can run power to everything and function test. Make sure my little gear selector switch works. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get that sprocket off and see if we can't get a chain mounted up. All right, got the chain on, as you guys saw. Also got the battery backs installed up front. Now, I'm gonna show you what this chain looks like real quick. So there's our chain, and because I changed this gear out right here, she is a little snug. So it probably won't require a tensioner for the time being, but it does have to run a half link. I just have the half of a master link sitting in there so I could make sure the chain actually reached all the way across. But so I did order a half link. We are going to get one of those installed, and then I may or may not build a tensioner just in case. Also got our shocks installed as well. Got the shocks installed on both sides. Got everything up against our tensioners, and you can see everything rotates over. Actually rotates fairly decent. They did stretch a little bit farther than I expected. They're almost at the point of binding again, but once we get it on the ground, let those things relax, probably be all right. If not, then I'll just have to order another set. And Let's see what we got. We have got our gear selector switch all siliconed up and is installed back in the side of the engine. Also got the battery in our battery tray up there. Got all the wires ran all the way back. Kind of made a little bracket, mounted the starter relay here. Now I do have to still figure out some of the wiring, why it's not receiving the ground here. But there is some plugs that aren't plugged in. Figure I will find that wire when I finish going through the whole harness. But you can see our little dash here. Get up on there. Go ahead and turn the key on. Key turns on. Our little green light says neutral. And you can see the little gear says 0. So now Seth, where are you, buddy? Hey. Go 1 forward. Go ahead. Oh, that's me. Hold on a sec. Let up, put it right in the middle. Okay. Probably help if I actually hooked up the shifter in the back. All right, go ahead, go 1 forward. There you go, gear 1. Now go, whoops. There you go, gear 1. Now go back 1. Oh, that's in second gear. That's fine, that's fine. Go forward just slightly. There, we are back in neutral. Go back 1. Second gear, go back again. Third gear, go back again. If it doesn't click, just let me say, because I gotta rotate the transmission over for you to do it, so don't force it. Go ahead, go 1 more time. There we go. Go again. 0. Oh, it doesn't say 6 for whatever reason, but that's 6th gear. Go ahead, go up 1.
Hi, Dada.
What's up, buddy? Go again. 4th gear again. 3rd gear again. Now go about half a click. And we are back in neutral. So now that we got the gear selector working, we know what gear we're in. I'm waiting on our half link. We'll get the chain on, and then I'll go ahead and put that cover back on as well. And then I want to kind of try to see what it does in gear, see how it rotates, see how it turns before we put it on the ground, of course. I'll get something underneath the back control arms to take a little bit of weight off it, but just kind of want to see what it does, how it reacts. Also been kind of goofing off here through all that. Not only did I get the battery installed, I went ahead and kind of mounted our headlights in the configuration I want. These little guys will be running off the motorcycle low beam circuit. This will be running on the high beam circuit. I've also gone ahead and you can see down in there. You can kind of see down in there, there's a junction box, or just a little junction. There's where our ground goes. There's where our positive battery cable goes, and off that guy there runs up front to a little fuse block there, which I'll probably have a couple of relays next to it as well, just so we can run the lights and some of the other electrical. But like I've been saying, been kind of goofing off here. And let me hook this up real quick. Boom. Ooh, she gets bright. I'll step back, hopefully don't blind you, but that's what it looks like with the lights on. Kind of hard to tell because it is so blurry on camera, but I think it'll look really cool at night if we ever get this thing out in the dark. Go ahead and shut those off. So that's really cool. Kind of like the way it looks, kind of like the setup. I do have to build some kind of front bumper or push bar for it as well, but haven't quite decided to kind of how I want to go with it yet. Probably kind of like one of those little things you see on the little remote control cars. It's kind of like a skid plate front bumper. I think that might actually work out really well. Who knows? I'll try to mock something up here in the future, but right now I am going to go ahead and get the wheels back on this thing so we can get it on the ground. That way I can switch spots with that car over there. So next video we'll have that thing on the rack, get the rear end tore apart, swap out our gears. That way we can get this thing back out, start testing with the draggy, see what kind of improvements we make with our new gears. So Gotta get things switched around. But in this video right here, just a quick update, couple little small things taken care of on the Crosskart here. Getting closer and closer to getting it back on the ground, or taking it for a test drive before completely tearing it apart. But anyways, I hope some of this stuff gives you guys ideas. Hope it motivates you to get out there in the driveway, garage, backyard, work on you know, whatever, cars, go-karts, project. You know, you never know until you know. Just have fun. Learn something as you go. Again, you guys, thank you very much for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you're new and you've made it this far, hit that subscribe button for me. Leave a comment. Thank you guys again for hanging out. I'll catch you on the next one.